Thank you, everyone. Before we start, we're going to give priority to the UK media, but everybody will get an opportunity to ask some questions. Cameras, are we rolling at the back? Yep, cool. David, have you got the mic? We'll start with you. Go ahead.
Hi, Jos. Can I just start by asking how Dawid and Mark are either likely to play tomorrow and who's likelier of the two?
Yeah, they're both improving. Of course, there's not too many days since not being fit enough for the semi-final, but again, we'll give them every chance possible.
And you're just one game away from being ODI and T20 World Champions. There must be a heck of a lot of excitement in the dressing room.
Yeah, naturally, there's huge excitement for the match. Anytime you get a chance to play in a World Cup final is a huge honour. We're really excited as a group. There seems a nice feel around the team. Naturally, the previous performance gives us lots of confidence, but doesn't count for anything tomorrow. We start a fresh game against a really tough opposition, and anytime you're fighting for a trophy, you know that it's not going to come easy.
You guys have played against each other quite a lot in the last couple of months. Are there any secrets between you two? And could one edge be the fact that you guys have played a few World Cup finals, whereas most of the Pakistan team haven't?
Well, yeah, we've played against them a lot recently, but of course in very different conditions. I think that's probably the main factor about, even though we've played each other quite a few games here at Melbourne, is going to be a different game to the series obviously in Pakistan. So that we know we're up against an excellent team. That's exactly what you expect in a World Cup final, and we'll focus on them a little bit and focus on us a lot and what we need to do to prepare well today to turn up tomorrow and give the best account of ourselves.
We'll go Paul, Dean, Simon and then Chris.
Jos, at the start of the tournament you said this is a new era obviously under yourself and Matthew. A lot of the players are pretty experienced now, a few in the 30s. How much longer do you think you can proceed as a group? Is it a new era, or is it coming towards the end, as it were, for yourselves as a group, and there might not be that many more chances for world tournaments?
Yeah, I don't think there's any time. There's loads of chances for world tournaments that they don't come around too often. As a group, a few of us are getting a little bit older, but I think in the professional age you can generally play a little bit longer than maybe if you look after yourself, and of course there's plenty to play for. So it's certainly a new era in terms of the coach, the captain. It's a different time as a group. Plenty of similar personnel, but playing across a different era. I think that's what I kind of meant, and I think that happens in terms of teams and team cycles, and you're never quite sure how long things are going to last for you as a player or as an era as such, but certainly you don't come down these roads very often, and whether you're a youngster or whether you're into your 30s, of course the chances are going to be fewer and fewer when you're a bit older, but that just gives you that added determination and drive to try and make it happen.
So it's still very much the beginning for this team?
Yeah, I see that as that point. Hopefully I've got more time ahead of myself, and as a captain and with Matthew Mott we can hopefully shape the next sort of, as I say, era of English white ball cricket. Of course we're still reaping the rewards of Owen Morgan's tenureship and the changes that have happened in white ball game in England, and that's clear to see in the strength and depth of the talent we now have in the white ball game in England. So now we're very much riding the back of that wave, of course, but there's a bit of a new direction as well.
Dean, go ahead.
Yeah, Jos, have you given yourself a chance to think of what it might be actually like to lift a World Cup as captain? It doesn't happen very often in all sports, and they can be pretty special things for a country as well as supporters of a team.
Yeah, you certainly have a few dreams about that kind of thing, and of course, I think it really links back to what you like as a kid, really. It's the kind of things you would be doing in the garden with your brother and sister and pretending to lift a trophy and that kind of thing, and now to be able to have the opportunity to have a chance to live that kind of thing out is incredibly special. So I think it's fine to sort of think about those things and sort of what it might feel like or what it would mean, and then certainly feelings I don't feel like you need to try and block out or push away. You must accept those kind of things, as like accepting the noise that comes with a World Cup final, accepting that it feels a little bit different. Again, the room is fuller than it has been for any other game, obviously. So don't need to try and push it away and say it's no different tomorrow. Of course it is, but once you've accepted those things, again, about focusing on the things that you know will serve us well as a group and as a team, as an individual, what you need to do to prepare to play your best game of cricket tomorrow.
And do you get at all kind of inspired or motivated? There's quite a few World Cups going on at the moment. I think the Women's Rugby Union are in a World Cup final in New Zealand. There's a Rugby League World Cup going on. There's a Football World Cup about to start in Qatar. Do you kind of pinch yourself to think that maybe we could start something special and lead the way?
Yeah, I certainly hope so. Sport is such a huge part of English culture, and getting behind teams in World Cups is certainly something I know happens a lot in England. And even though we're on the other side of the world, we can certainly feel that support. The images is sort of the Euros, obviously. No, nothing will compete with football in our country, but the level of interest. Of course, the game is going to be on free-to-air television as well, which is fantastic. Will bring new eyes to the game as well. And we saw the benefit of that in 2019. Of some of the images of people watching that game, and Trafalgar Square being packed out and stuff. I'm not sure they'll be getting up at 8 o'clock in the morning to get to Trafalgar Square, but I'm sure there'll be plenty back home wishing us well, and as we do to the other teams that you mentioned who are going got some big games ahead of themselves as well.
Simon, Chris, and I will take a few from the floor. We're up against a tight schedule here, so go ahead.
Hi, Jos. I've been watching through the tournament as you get in a pre-match huddle with the team and you tend to address them. And I was just wondering what kind of message you tried to give across at that time, and if that role as kind of pre-match inspirational, whatever you're trying to do, if that role comes naturally to you.
Well, yeah, I think it comes pretty naturally. It's something I've never been shy of addressing a team that I'm playing in, whether I'm captain or not. So it's something that comes naturally, and the message changes. It depends on the feel around the group on that day, the situation ahead of us, or the situation that we've just gone through. So your messages change a little bit, but the consistent message is to always take the game on. I think that's something we pride ourselves on as a group. We must try and play with a level of freedom and allow ourselves to express the huge amounts of talent that we have as a group.
Obviously, it's your first year as captain, your first tournament as captain. Other than having to talk to us more often than you might like, are you enjoying the added kind of responsibility and stress that comes with that?
Yeah, I think I certainly enjoy some bits of it more than others. But definitely, I think talking about teams and going through different eras, I think it's part of my own sort of journey as a player and as a person to now be at this stage of my career where I'm a captain, learning something very new that I hadn't done before, and that's exciting to get the chance to do that. It keeps things interesting. It keeps learning new experiences and going through that. I certainly feel like I'm improving day by day, really, at getting the job and feeling more comfortable in the role as it goes on. I think it's maybe as frustrating as the summer was in terms of results. Actually learned a huge amount through that period, with the benefit of having a few months after to sort of reflect on that, things I probably would have done differently, or what certain situations arose and how they made me feel and how I reacted to them. So I feel like I'm growing into the role day by day.
Chris?
Hi, Jos. I just wondered if the experience of the 2019 final and the kind of the stresses on the field as much as off it as well can kind of help you tomorrow, especially if there's a bit of weather around and it's one of those days.
Yeah, I think any experiences that you can draw on, good or bad, you will have learned from those and reflect on those to be in situations of adversity or a bit of chaos. Those are all things that can happen, and in a World Cup final there's a good chance of things like that happening. So the more experience you've got of being able to understand those feelings and how to react to them, I definitely see that as a benefit. And I think whether it's that World Cup final or whether it's different finals in franchise cricket or any of the experiences that we have as a group that we will draw on will be a benefit. Certainly, I think the weather is something we cannot control, and whatever does happen, we must be ready to go in whatever sort of sense that is. Obviously, we all fingers crossed it will just get a normal game of T20 cricket and that won't be affected. So, but don't want us to waste energy today and tomorrow morning thinking about the weather.
Apologies, we've only got time for two more. So the gentleman in the white cap, and then we'll finish with Mel, and then we're done. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Just post 2019, we have seen 2015. We have seen a renaissance in English white ball cricket. Now we have, of course, Brendan is with you in red ball setup. Now we have a different white ball setup. So how important is that having two setup for two forms of cricket? And do you see going forward more teams adapting to this trend of having two setups for white ball and red ball?
Yeah, I certainly see that as a possibility. I think the nature of the schedule of English cricket makes it near enough impossible for one man or woman to do the whole job. I think we play so much cricket and so much travelling and time away. I think that sort of become untenable really to have one coach. So yeah, it's certainly something I'm sure other teams may look at. It seems to be working well so far for English cricket, and hopefully that will obviously continue. I think even when sort of one person was in charge, you were sort of seeing them having to miss certain series or one of the assistants taking over for a little bit. So certainly in terms of the stability of the groups, I think is a real plus, that we know exactly who our coaching staff is, who our head coach is, and they have full ownership over that team.
Probably getting in trouble, but I'm trying to help out the Pakistan media as well. So first of all, how do you rate the Pakistan pace attack and the form that they have been in their run into this final? And also, we're back at the site. I know you don't want to dwell on the weather, but this is where that game was against Ireland and a similar forecast. Have you addressed the things that went wrong there in knowing that there could be a similar situation tomorrow?
Yeah, obviously Pakistan are a fantastic team. I think they have a very long history of producing excellent fast bowlers, and I see the team that we're up against as no different. I'm sure by the end of their careers, some of the guys we'll play against will go down as some of the best bowlers Pakistan have produced. So and that's a huge part of why they get to a World Cup final. So yeah, we expect a really tough challenge. As mentioned before, they're a team we've seen lots of in the recent past, and we've had some brilliant matches against them, played in a fantastic spirit, and I'm sure tomorrow will be no different. Yeah, and obviously the Ireland match is a big disappointment for us as a team throughout this tournament, but certainly feels a long time ago now, being able to sit in this position on the eve of the World Cup final. I think we will have learned quite a few lessons throughout that game and actually the lead up into the game. I think the weather around Melbourne sort of was dominating the whole tournament at that stage and was sort of definitely a distraction at times, but certainly the game we got into against them, we know that the areas we were short, that definitely hurt us, and I think we've seen a reaction to that game in the rest of the cricket we've played so far.
Okay, we're done. Thank you. Cheers, Jos.